Of everything.
All right, let's get to some not Texas talk. College football playoff. Bama wins. They're going to be good for a long time. I mean, obviously, but they're going to be really good. So, for those of you who live under a cave, Tua Tagovailoa, we're not going to pronounce. We have a lot of tough names. Tua Tagovailoa, I believe that's how you say it.
That works.
I'm just going to stick with Tua for now. He comes in at the second half of the Georgia game, of the national championship game, when Georgia has the lead. He comes back, leads them in overtime, and overtime throws a great pass. He's a lefty, too, which looks kind of cool. James is a lefty. He likes that. Throws a touchdown pass. They win. But it's not – so he's a true freshman. Najee Harris, the running back, he looked really good in that game. And he is a true freshman. Henry Ruggs, the third, is also a freshman. He's a good receiver. So, obviously, we know Alabama is always going to be good. But there were some signs, when there was questions of them making the playoff. What was going to happen to them, and obviously,
talk about them being in the playoff.
Obviously, Tua shows that. Yeah, and so you got to look at Tua, and he might be the first Heisman quarterback for Nick Saban. Oh my
gosh, you're right.
The era of game manager quarterbacks is over. But what could be fascinating? 2 years from now is Tua and Najee Harris in a tight race for the Heisman. That would be interesting.
That would not surprise me. They both definitely have a lot of upside. Now, I didn't really I'm going to just go ahead and disclaim here that I did not really watch the championship game.
I know.
I turned it on at the end, so I'm.
That was anti-SEC. Oh, not anti-ESPN. We are not an anti-ESPN podcast. We are a pro any place that will hire me podcast.
I can be anti-ESPN because I'm not trying to. But no, I will say I did not. So just a disclaimer, I watched the last. Yeah. The last minute and then overtime,
which was fantastic.
It was probably the best part of the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Except for the ending. But I will say that what I saw out of Tua was a lot of poise. He did make some mistakes. We saw both. I tweeted this. I tweeted this out, and if I were smart, I would know my Twitter handle, and you could all follow me. But
well, you got one person watching right now, so to that one viewer, thank you. Shout out.
Gosh, what was I going to say? I will say we watched freshman quarterbacks Jake Fromm and Tua.
Both true freshmen.
Both true freshmen make the same mistake on the opening play. They both dropped back and got sacked for a big loss. They could have gotten sacked for a small loss. And I actually tweeted out, this is the problem with freshman quarterbacks. We're seeing Fromm and Tua both taking their teams out of field goal range with big losses. As soon as I pressed tweet and that thing went to the whole internet, Tua proved me wrong, drops back, throws a perfect pass to a wide open receiver. Now, that's only half of him because the other half is that's a third of him. The other third is the receiver, and the other third is the Georgia defensive back who blew that.
That was a really pretty throw.
It was a perfect throw. And I think, if you look at, I'm just going to say, Ellinger would have let him out of bounds.
Yeah.
Not a touchdown.
Most likely.
Good play, good read, bad throw.
Yeah.
So, we're getting some pronunciation coming in. Tagovailoa.
Tagovailoa. All right. I believe it's Tagovailoa. Tagovailoa. You know what? We're going to let you, the viewers, say it how you want. I'm just going to say Tua. But what we know for sure, because I don't know how to pronounce his last name for sure, but what I do know for sure is that the UGA-Bama rivalry the next couple years.
It's going to be good.
Oh, my goodness. Really goodness. And Georgia has the #1 recruiting class in the nation right now. They have another, top, one of the best quarterbacks, maybe the #1 overall quarterback. Committing to them.
This is the third year in a row that they've gotten the #1 quarterback.
Eason, Fromm, and now this guy who I'm blanking on his name.
I can't remember his name either.
But
they started Eason. They started Fromm. If they start this guy, I don't know why they would. But if they start this guy, it's not unreasonable. I mean, we talk about how Texas has started freshman quarterbacks too much. Georgia started 2 years in a row, and last year was hardly a disappointment for them.
Right. The one thing I will say about Tua, and I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback or that he will be a bad quarterback, but I've seen people say, "Oh, this Georgia quarterback, find out how he's the next Tua." But here's the deal: Tua's played a half quarter of football that was filled with mistakes. Granted, he looks good. He's looked good in the games he's played. He's got a great arm.
He also plays for Alabama.
Right, but he's played a half of football. Mm-hmm. It's too soon to say he's the best quarterback of all time.
Yeah, no film.
people said Garrett Gilbert was, even after the national championship game, they said, that's a guy who made some mistakes, but who's going to go on and be a great quarterback. And back in those days, people were saying, well, he plays at Texas.
Right. I know.
Oh, man, so, yeah. So, but I still think he will be a great quarterback. I just think people are a little quick to say that. So let's get to this is where I'm really interested to talk about the 8-team playoff, because this year really shows how much we need it. You look at, obviously, I don't think the only top 4 team that looked like they didn't deserve it was Clemson, the number 1 overall team.
Right, and they had to play the national
champion. Yeah, which really Clemson got the worst end of the deal, having to play an Alabama who was given a month off to recover from injuries. But
yeah, got beefs about that.
But you look at the teams that were in the New Year's Six bowl games. Wisconsin looked good against a Miami team. You look at UCF, the national champions. Congrats.
UCF, they did their job.
Penn State looked really good. And Ohio State, obviously. Ohio State looked really good.
They did. They were playing a lackluster USC team, though.
But but the thing is, that it just shows that we just need the 8-team playoff, and we're seeing links on how to pronounce Tua. We'll look that up later. I'm just going to keep calling him Tua. But here's the problem about the playoff. The contract goes through 2026, so we're going to have to wait till then to redo it. But I mean, what I've heard is it sounds like it's gonna happen.
There's definitely a lot of momentum around it. Obviously, the current playoff system is supported by the higher-ups because it's their system, so they're going to support it. I do feel like there's a lot of momentum. It's not the problems that we hear about an 18 playoff.
Yep.
Too many games, and that it makes the season too long.
Yeah.
But those are easy things to fix. If you shorten bowl season and you make the semis or the quarters and the semis normal games, home games. So
okay.
Games.
Okay.
So, we've got December's bowl game month.
Yeah.
Well, why are we playing all these in bowl games? You move them to home game. They make it an actual playoff system. That was one solution that I've heard.
Yep.
Now you're playing quarterfinals at home.
Yep.
Semifinals could be New Year's 6.
They could,
and then national championship. So you're not extending your season anymore.
Well, and you also got to think only 2 teams are playing more games than you would in the college football, because only 2 teams play 3 extra games.
Right.
But even if you don't do the home whatever, I think that's a great system. You still, that's how many games you have?
You're adding
1, 2, 3, 4.
You add 1.
4 games, 5, 6, 7. 7 games, is that correct?
What are you counting?
Well, you have the first round. You have 4 games there.
Oh no, we're talking about per team.
No, right now, extra hits. I'm talking about distributing the bowls to those games. So now you have 7 bowl games, but you got enough. You have New Year's 6. You add 1 more. Add the Alamo Bowl. How about the amazing games they've got? I don't know, but
plenty of time to discuss this.
Right
until 2026.
We do, but here's my thing. I think the terrible thing about the bowl system is you play 12 games. Sometimes 13 if you're in the conference championship, and then you wait a month and you play again, and it throws off everything. There's no momentum. When you look at March Madness, the teams you're looking at picking are the ones who are coming in hot. Momentum is a huge factor in playoffs, and you take all of that away when you're playing the national championship semifinals a whole month later. You're giving teams a chance to get healthy. You're giving teams just throwing them off their rhythm. You haven't played in a month, so you're naturally going to be rusty. You're almost going to get worse. We had some decent games.
The Cotton Bowl this year, USC, Ohio State, I think that kind of showcased that.
Yeah.
You had 2 teams that did not play their best football.
No, there was plenty of rust.
Disappointing game.
That was. Absolutely.
That was not good football.
Yeah. So I think what you do is after the season, you have a break like you normally do for Heisman week.
Right.
Next week you play the first of the quarterfinals. Then you have the next week off, which is whatever, Christmas, all that stuff. And then you go back New Year's Day, and then the 8th or whatever.
Schedule.
I
agree.
It makes so much more sense. But I don't get why. Well, I do get why. It's about money. But I think it almost makes sense. An 18 playoff that's more games for people to watch. I feel like that would bring in more money.
Well, it would. That's not a problem with it. And I think by 2026, I think that's going to be a thing. But if we still have football then.
Yeah.
But let's talk about so we've got till 2026, which is something like, 8 years?
Mm-hmm.
If I do math right. I'm not a math person.
That is, yes.
How do we make the 14 format better? Because I think this season showed a lot of problems with it. I think so, personally.
Yeah.
Because I think that the national champion should never have been in the playoffs.
Right.
Do you have... What is your take on how we can fix the 14 playoff going forward?
Well, I don't. Other than I don't think there are many other ways that are ever going to solve it without teams complaining, other than the 18 playoff. Because if you say you have to win your conference to get in, well, I think then an Alabama team gets left out who's mad, and maybe an Ohio State team goes on and wins. And I think this year shows that the team you leave out still has a chance to win the national championship.
That's true.
When you leave out, like the 9 seed this year probably would have been Penn State. You leave them out, there's not a good chance of them winning it all compared to Ohio State. Okay. But other than that, I don't like having automatic qualifiers. I don't.
But see, here's the thing, and I'm going to borrow from Joel Klatt now.
Yeah.
What the playoff did this year is they said that the regular season doesn't matter.
Right.
Because all of a sudden, okay, so, Georgia got a really pretty trophy that said, you won the SEC.
Yeah.
Alabama said, we got a better one. And Alabama had a whole week off that Georgia didn't.
Right.
So I think when you look at it from that perspective, as someone who thinks that the regular season should matter.
Right. Well, and conference play should matter. I mean, that's
right.
every team
Alabama's
going into the season. Yeah.
They didn't even get to the championship game. Alabama should not be rewarded. I'm using Alabama, but any team that drops the most important game of the year should not then be rewarded. I mean, Auburn didn't have a chance, and Auburn beat Alabama. Auburn's sitting here saying, we beat the national champion.
Yeah, they did.
Why weren't we the playoff team?
Right.
Why Alabama? Why not us?
Yeah.
Because in my opinion, Auburn should have been the 4th seed, not Alabama. If you're talking... No.
Oh, okay, yeah,
If you're saying an SEC team that didn't win...
Right. Yeah, because they had the head-to-head.
Justify Alabama.
Because they're Alabama.
I think that's a large part of it.
But, I mean, the hard thing is Alabama was clearly the best team to put in there. They were clearly, on paper and looking at them, they were better than Ohio State.
They were so much the best team that they couldn't win their own division. I'm sorry. Look, if your division's too hard, maybe you need a new conference.
Well,
that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
We've got the 14-team SEC, the 10-team Big 12.
Yeah.
And the people in the SEC are saying we can't win. Maybe you need to switch conferences.
Yeah. Well, and another thing about Alabama, they were hurt. They had a lot of injuries in that month, gave them a chance to rest.
I don't care.
You
can still got to play the game even if you're hurt. We didn't get a pass for our season. We lost half of our team.
That's true.
And we still have people calling for our coaches.
Yeah. I just think it's no matter what, people are going to be mad with the 14 playoff.
Here's the Joel Klatt system.
Yeah.
Conference champions, right? You got 5 conference champions.
Yeah, I like this
5
system.
Conference champions. You take the best 4.
Right.
So in this case, USC doesn't get in.
Yeah.
But you've got Clemson.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Georgia.
Yeah.
Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And Ohio State.
Right.
Now that gives you a chance to say now non-conference still matters
because that's how you determine who the best team is. Yeah.
Conference season matters because you got to win your conference.
Right.
And how you win your conference matters because you don't want to be the least qualified team.
Yeah.
So we're not saying you win and you're in. We're saying you win. You've got a good regular season. Now we've given value back to the regular season.
Right.
We've given value to the non-conference, which can be completely unimportant. We could have gone 0-3 and won the conference this year.
Right. Yeah.
Now you've given importance to every aspect of the season.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
And bowl season matters because all those unimportant bowls, because now that's projecting that horse race for who has the best conference because that matters.
Yeah.
Now every aspect of the season is important for crowning a national champion.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big fan of that system.
Yeah.
I know you don't like automatic qualifiers, but you're not an automatic qualifier.
Right. Yeah. I like that system a little bit more. Yeah.
That's the one that has
all
support.
Final question before we move on from football. How do you think USC would have UCF would have fared if they played Bama in the national championship?
Oh, this is a tough question.
The battle of national champions. Who is the true champion?
Right. I've got a couple different logical approaches that I'm going to use to answer this.
Okay.
First off is that I think that UCF loses to Alabama.
Okay.
But not a blowout.
Okay.
But I think they lose because Central Florida and Alabama are not the same.
Yeah.
One's going to be able to outman everybody. On the other hand, the other logical track you can use is that UCF beat the team that beat the team that won.
They did.
All right, UCF beat Auburn pretty decisively.
They did, yeah.
That was not. I mean, it was a close game, but it was not ever in doubt.
Right.
There was a clear who was the better team.
Right.
It was clearly.
It wasn't like some upset, throw a 3 up at the buzzer, get a lucky bounce. It was. Right. I mean, they controlled the majority of that game.
It was a clear win.
Right.
So I think UCF. Let's see. I think that UCF in the playoff does not do very well.
Mm-hmm.
I think UCF playing Alabama on their own.
Yeah.
I think that's a good game. That's a game I'm watching, and I think UCF makes it close. I just don't think they win.
Yeah.
Because now we're just not just talking Alabama, but I think Nick Saban doesn't lose games like that.
That's true.
So that's the difference between Alabama and Auburn is that you got one is a coach that is good and one is a coach that just closes things out in inexplicable ways.
Right.
And so from then I think Alabama wins. But UCF is going to put up a good fight. Obviously,
they are.
They beat the team that beat Alabama.
Yeah, and who knows if Tua even plays? Maybe Jalen Hurts plays and Tua doesn't even get a start, and UCF wins because of that.
Right. No, I think it's an interesting discussion.
Yeah.
I do think that UCF. I think that them not. I don't think that they were necessarily national championship material.
Yeah.
Just because Central Florida is not the same as Alabama.
Right. All right. So to conclude the show, we're going to do a little basketball talk. Texas is actually currently playing West Virginia right now on the road.
Oh, sure enough, they are.
They are. So. Let's talk about the last couple games. You have the TCU game, which is a big win after Andrew Jones is diagnosed with leukemia. That was big at home. Then the Oklahoma State game. That's almost kind of a trap game where it's like you come off a huge game. But, really what it looked like to me in that game, because we had a 12-point lead with like 6 minutes left. Mm-hmm. And I think what happened, Kerwin Roach is out for that game. And I think without Andrew Jones, without Kerwin Roach, you are severely without guards. Mm-hmm. And Matt Coleman and Eric Davis and Jacob Young were doing a great job of driving into the paint and either scoring or kicking it out or throwing up an alley-oop to Mo Bamba or something. And by the end of the second half, they couldn't drive because they were exhausted.
Yeah. I think that's anytime you've got – I mean, what killed us last year was our lack of point guards.
Right.
And we have point guards this year, but one of them has leukemia. Another one had a broken hand for that game. He came back. That was the good news.
What was it, 20 points?
Or 8, it was a good comeback.
The game after he breaks his hand?
But...
and that was the one against Tech.
Yes. I think that overall the biggest thing that we look at in that Oklahoma State loss was fatigue.
Yep. And that's gonna plague us all year. Less with Roach back. And we saw that. We saw that against Tech, being able to hold on. And this team, they're improving offensively.
You know what else? I'm going to add real quick to our sort of blanket over the last few games.
Yeah.
It kind of shows that the Irwin Center might not be the worst place to play anymore. I mean, let's take a look at this. We beat a close team on the road against TCU. And I don't know what the crowd was for that, but I heard it was decent.
Yeah. Especially for a game over a break.
So, that was good.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Oklahoma State's on the road.
Yeah.
If that game's in Austin, I don't think they drop it.
There's a chance. Yeah.
I don't think they drop it.
Because with our team, we're young. We start to lose that momentum, and we get turnover crazy. The women's team does the same thing. They just have more. I feel like they have.
Well, they're just better.
Yeah.
But
we get turnover crazy, and we stop playing good defense. We saw this against Kansas, even against TCU at times, and against Tech. But what happens is defensively, and this is where we've gotten killed, is when teams start to pass the ball well. And they start passing around the horn, and we start biting, and eventually they find the guy in the corner who pops the 3.
Right.
And so that was one thing we've had to work on. But the offense has improved.
The offense has improved, and here's the big thing. The thing that worked against Tech, we stopped trying to shoot 3-point shots.
Yeah.
I remember...
The Baylor game?
It may have been the Baylor game. One of the Statesman reporters
mm-hmm.
was tweeting out that Ozakowski shot like 6 free throws in 2 minutes, and he missed all of them.
Yeah.
Stopped. What worked in the Tech game
mm-hmm.
is we got away from this idea that we're going to play like everybody else and shoot 3-point shots.
Because we can't.
We can't.
But the problem is teams know that we can't shoot, so they let us shoot them.
Well, but here's the thing. We've got bigs. We've got better bigs than the rest of the conference.
Right.
Ozakowski, Bamba,
Sims.
And Sims. You're right. They're big and they're good.
Yeah.
What we did against Tech is we found a way to get into the paint
mm-hmm.
and use our bigs.
Right. Whether it's an alley-oop
right.
or you can miss a shot and have Mo Bamba finish it.
And this is just like the run game in football. The
yeah.
paint in basketball is run game in football. What do you say in football? You run to open the pass.
Yep.
What we did against Tech is we played in the paint,
yeah.
and then we got some outside looks,
yeah.
and we took advantage of it, and we didn't miss. And that was a lucky thing that we didn't miss because we were on our rhythm there. But
I think we're improving. I don't know how exactly you go around other than just shooting a bunch, but we've improved as a 3-point shooting team. I mean,
because we're not as dependent on it.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, Eric Davis made a really contested 3-pointer at the end of it. It was kind of a clutch 3. Eric Davis couldn't make a layup back in November and December, and now he's hitting contested 3-pointers. And so I think here's the deal. Going into the season and working over the offseason, all Shaka really did was work on defense. There was no offensive play, development and practice.
That paid off.
And it worked defensively, but we couldn't score. And I think what's happened is I think he started to, because now you see us, we're actually running plays. Mm-hmm. We're not doing street ball, just passing the ball around and hoping to score. We actually run plays. We have some screen and rolls, some good drive and kick options. And so it looks like what's happened is Shaka has done a good job developing the offense. And so that's huge. And, we're not quite halfway through the regular season. It'll be interesting to see how we do on the road against West Virginia, who's another defensive. Tech was the best. Obviously, West Virginia is a good defensive team. Tech was the best defensive team in the Big 12.
Yeah, and we put up how many points again? I want to say
it was
73.
over. It was something. It was over 66. I know that because we got free wings.
I thought it was 75 for free rings.
No, it was 66. Well, they rolled the dice before each game, but it was 66. I mean, they kind of have to. They've had to lower the standards the last couple years. But yeah, it was something 70 points against the best defense. But again, against defenses, if we can score, we're going to win because good defenses often don't have as good of offenses like us.
Right.
So if we can score against them as we're improving again as the season goes on, that's always good.
Mm-hmm.
So
I agree. There's a lot to be excited about. There's a lot of upside right now to the way that we're playing.
Yeah,
a lot of momentum. If we can just stay on it, even a close loss at West Virginia would be good enough to hold on to momentum. Although a win would be really good. I just think we've got a lot of upside.
Yep.
We're playing a lot better. We got Kerwin Roach back.
We do.
But they've been playing really well since the Andrew Jones thing.
Yeah, actually, we're gonna give y'all a live recap or update of the Texas game. I want to know how we're doing right now.
All right, this is gonna be terrible.
we know as little. Y'all probably listeners out there know more. Y'all listening know what's gonna happen. And we are tied 14-14 halfway through the first, so that's good.
That's good.
Nice and low scoring.
I think let's go total outlook on the season, so we can start wrapping this up.
Yeah.
What are you expecting from the rest of conference play and the tournament? And looking forward to the big one.
Well, so obviously I think we make the tournament. We're doing better. We're 13 wins now?
Yes.
No. And so, or are we at 12? 12.
You're at 12.
Yeah. So
12 wins.
But I don't think, generally you say you have to get to about 20 wins to make the tournament.
Right.
The Big 12's tough enough that I think you get to 16 or 17. And I think Iowa State we should win. Ole Miss we should win. Mm-hmm. Those are some of the unranked teams, and we're going to beat ranked teams. We beat Tech. I mean, the thing about this team, we are not going to have many blowout games either way, winning or losing.
That's Texas sports in general.
That's true, but we're going to be in a lot of close games, and knocking on wood. But the hope is that as we continue to improve, we can actually win those close games, and we're seeing that finally.
Right.
Winning some close games. Tough loss in a double overtime against, or was it single overtime or double overtime against Duke?
I think it was single overtime.
Yeah, and then lose to Gonzaga in overtime.
Right, but we lost to Gonzaga. Here's what I
that was a big comeback.
This was a good thing. We lost to Duke and Gonzaga different ways.
We did,
which I don't like the way that sounds. But it's going to make some
different ways for moral victories.
I'm going to explain it. Duke, we stalled out down the stretch.
Yep, we did.
That's a traditional way to lose a game. Gonzaga, we did the opposite of that.
Yeah.
We actually came up at the end of the game. I mean, I was watching that.
Right.
We were
I thought,
10 with 3 minutes to go.
Yeah.
I was real depressed.
Yeah.
And we ended up coming back into overtime and playing real well. So,
but it shows we know how to play from ahead and behind.
We know that we're a good
Almost.
team.
Yeah.
But we're playing really good teams,
right.
and we're not the best team.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, me looking forward to the rest of conference, I think we have a lot of winnable games.
Yep.
We got to take it. We got to win.
Yeah, we can't.
Win needs to be the place that we win the rest of the year.
And we can't blow games like Oklahoma State.
Right. Well, you know what? That was a road game.
Yeah.
We got to close them out in Austin.
Yeah.
And we've got. Let's see. We had big crowds for Tech. We had big crowds for women against UConn. I think.
Yeah.
We have momentum on campus right now.
We do. Yeah, that is true.
I heard the student section was completely full.
I was sitting up in the rafters.
Mm-hmm.
kind of mad about that, but
the student support is.
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. Yeah.
And that is huge. And if we close out, I really like where we go. If we close out our games in Austin real well, we pick up a couple on the road. And I just feel like we're going to be in a good spot.
I think we can come in as a really hot 6 or 7 seed to the tournament that could make a run, maybe make it to the Sweet Six, at least second weekend. I think we can be a second weekend team. The hard thing about our team is we're just not consistent enough at this point to make a run. But if we can grow, I think that's a chance.
Mm-hmm. The question gets asked every year. I think it's a good closer. Does Kansas win the Big 12 again?
The last couple years the Big 12 has really grown, but I think like past years, I think everybody's going to beat up on each other so much. I think Kansas wins it again. I just think there's too many. It sounds funny, but there's too many good teams for Kansas not to win. Because they can lose a couple games and still I think they can control their destiny. And they've already shown, they had a close game against Kansas State that they won. Mm-hmm. And I think if they had lost that, I would have said it's anybody's game. But I think the fact that they're being able to win in these close games, I think it shows. I think they win the Big 12 and maybe by 2 games.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I think that's fair.
What do you think?
I'm going to go ahead and be the guy that says it is not, just because you said that
Okay, so then who wins?
Oh, gosh.
Put them on the spot.
A couple of days ago, I would have said Tech. I watched them beat Kansas. Tech is scary. Good,
yeah.
But then we beat them. So that kind of invalidates that.
You feeling a little Trae Young action?
I don't like one-man teams. I don't.
Yeah.
So that is the hard part. I think somebody might step up, but you're right. Kansas has been good enough to stay above the fray, but their home record is not as good this year.
It's not, yeah.
And that's a weak spot. So I'm going to say somebody. I'm not going to name a team because it doesn't matter. Honestly.
That's true.
It
could be. Really, there are very few teams who are out of it right now. We're 2 games back. We could still win.
Well, if we don't lose to Oklahoma State, we're tied for first.
That's true.
So
that is,
that's the crazy part about this.
Yeah.
So I think that I'm going to say that this is the year that Kansas loses.
Okay.
If they win, they don't win the tournament.
Okay. Oh, if they lose, they win the tournament. Are you
not
saying?
Necessarily.
Okay.
No,
but
I'm saying
if they win, they don't win. No.
Because your argument, we've got a lot of cannibalism.
Yeah.
Kansas is good at staying out of that.
Absolutely.
So, them sneaking up and taking the regular season would not surprise me.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that we've got such a balanced conference this year. I don't think they win the Big 12 tournament. I really don't, because I think somebody like Tech, West Virginia,
but they're not going to. They're going to sandbag in the Big 12 tournament.
They usually do.
Yeah.
But that's my hot take. Is that they'll do what they usually do and
win. Yeah.
I think this is. We said it last year. We said it the year before. It's not new.
Yeah.
I'm going to say this is the year that Kansas doesn't.
All right.
Doesn't keep the streak alive.
Hot take. All right. Well, that is going to do it from the Thomas Fitch Sports Show. Thanks again to James for joining us.
Always a pleasure.
This was a really nice and long episode. So for those of y'all listening on iTunes, this is probably going to be a part 1 and part 2, which means we will be back 2 weeks from now. Anyways, see you later. Hook 'em horns. Let go of everything.